What is going on, everyone? This is Dr. Vic here, and excited to be here with y'all and to dive deep into some concepts to elevate our mind, to elevate our consciousness level, and so much more. I hope you guys have been doing great. I know I haven't been on as much as I have liked. There is a ton of interviews we're trying to get through that we've done some great interviews, some great guests, and we're just trying to work through those so that we can have new guests that we like to have on our show to interview and so forth. So for those ahead of time, I apologize. I am going to be getting back on sync with my own schedule with y'all to I want to do my book. I want to go through the chapters. Some people who have the book love going through that. If you have not gotten a copy of my new book, Decoding the Matrix, highly recommend it. We got 5-star reviews, and it's available on Amazon, and you can go ahead and get it in ebook, Kindle. You can get it on paperback, and you get it on Audible. But if you don't like Amazon, you can go. There's a ton of different. I think it's on 50-something online websites, so you can get access to it there. Check it out. One new thing we have done, you should check in the show notes. Check out our little store we have. We created a shop for clothing, gear, water stuff, and so much more. We're going to be loading some stuff up there. We actually hired somebody to help us with design, to come up with some of the quotes that I like to use and things like that. Just to help empower. And it's gear. You'll be seeing me starting to wear that soon too. And just to have for you guys. So if you like, check that out. It's in the show notes. So go down below, look at it, check it out. Let us know what you think, and so forth. This topic here, I'm excited to dive deep in with you guys. It's one of the things where, let's see here. It's one of the things that when it comes to something new in life, what's the humanity? What does a human do? What's our brain naturally respond, right? And what do I mean by that? So when you hear something that you've never heard, it's outside your experience and it's outside your world. And what I mean by world, let me just break down these definitions. So world means the conditioning, the identity of what you've created to think this is who you are, right? The identity there's a small I identity and there's a big I identity, okay? The small I is your ego. It's what you've been conditioned through family and friends, what you've passed down from family members, what has been, in genetic, your DNA, what has been passed down because it's a survival mechanism. This does happen. It has scientifically been proven. And it's one of those things where that becomes your identity. But then there's the capital I identity, which is their soul identity. This is the aspects of you knowing that, like for myself, Dr. Vic Manzo, that's not who I really am. That's just the character I'm playing in this life. I chose this life. I chose this character. I had other characters come and play into this mix, and we're having this experience called life. But that's not the essence of who I am. There's something deeper, right? And it's beyond that. It's the soul. Who's choosing all that? That's the real identity. And understanding the difference between these identities plays a huge role in your life and what we're trying to accomplish. So getting back to the point of the show here is that when you hear something that's outside your experience, outside your world, the immediate response you're going to have is a knee-jerk reaction. And that's going to be, that's not true. Nope, that's not true. That's crazy. That's weird. That's this. You're going to have resistance. There's going to be words that you're going to choose that are resistant, and you're going to start to create resistance. You'll feel your body. If you're aware of this, you'll feel the body starting to tense. You may notice you're breathing a little faster. You may notice your eyes might dilate. These are all defense mechanisms that are showing up, and you do this automatically. And it's not that it's right or wrong. It's just that it's uncertainty. It's something you don't know and never been exposed to. And you have two options. Okay, you can have a closed mind where you're not open to it, and you keep with the resistance and just say it's crazy, it's this and that. You never look beyond it. Or you can have an open mind and say, well, this person obviously believes this for some reason or some sort, or obviously whatever that may be. Maybe I want to learn about that, right? Now, there's not right or wrong with this, but there are, whatever you choose and the path you go with that is the key to either helping you expand your mind or not, right? Because if you stay closed-minded, you don't grow. The moment you close your mind is the moment in life when you stop learning, okay? So that's what's going to happen there. The other side of it is you keep an open mind and you just learn. Doesn't mean you have to follow and say, oh my God, that's true. I got to change my whole life now. Never said that. I keep a very open mind for this reason and this reason only. to just learn someone else's world, to learn. And if I can't understand or if I don't agree with their thinking, then it's like, hey, that's cool. If that works for you, thumbs up. And that's not going to work for me, but kudos to you, right? And that can come in any element or any facet of our life. And the reason why I thought this was a great topic to bring up is because I'm talking more about these things, is I've seen it in my own realm. Like, I've been talking a lot about the quantum world. I've been doing some workshops. We had over almost 600 people registered in our last workshop. We do have another workshop coming in October. You will hear me talk about it. I highly, highly recommend when I do sign up for it. The last one got a lot of raving reviews, and this next one's going to take it to a whole nother level. But when you speak on something that is totally different than what you've been conditioned, you're going to get some resistance. You just are. That's why some people say, "Oh, if you don't have haters, you're not doing something right." And well, I don't know if that's 100% true. But what I do know is this: if you are doing something that goes against the grain, if you're doing something that's outside normal thinking, if you're disrupting something, then yeah, you're going to get resistance. You're going to have it in some way, shape, or form. And I've been conditioned this way because I'm a chiropractor. In chiropractors, we have a very uphill battle. You got to have thick skin as a chiropractor. There is old models and old conditionings that's out there from. Don't want to put that. It just comes from some psychological programming that existed to make it seem like chiropractors aren't real doctors and all these other things. So I've established thick skin from that. Now I'm taking on the whole quantum into the business world and understanding that you don't have to do, right? I mean, in your own life. You guys heard me talk about this before. If you haven't, it's your first time listening to the podcast, go back and listen to some episodes where I talk about vision and beliefs and purpose and values and all those kind of things. Because at the end of the day, the quantum world is really breaking down and understanding our physical world. It's the invisible world that creates our physical world, and understanding this invisible world is what actually has us understand all of our life and what our life's all about. And so, but when you first talk about this or start to share this, there's a knee-jerk reaction, right? Especially when you say you don't have to work hard to be successful. What do you mean you don't have to work hard to be successful? You have to hard work. That's what it takes. That's what it is. Look, this is what people have done. Look at the billionaires who talk about this. Look at I find it interesting when billionaires say all you have to do is keep taking action and keep doing this. But most billionaires, they live in the quantum world already. They do half the stuff. They understand the stuff that I teach and share and so forth. But yet at the same token, they'll tell you to do and take action and so much more. And I'm not saying all of them do that, but I hear that message very, very strongly from a majority of them. And so when you're coming back to the point what I was sharing earlier and getting back on, I was getting off tangent here, but understanding when it comes to the identity of what you've created, right? The knee-jerk reaction when something's outside our world, to have that, that's not it. Have an open mind or not have an open mind, right? Why is this important? Because I want you to understand this is going to create awareness if you can start to just listen to this message and really get the message, the energy of what I'm sharing here. Is that because when you start to do these things, this is going to show you where you're closed-minded at, where you're fixed at. And it's going to show you, can you grow in other elements? Can you be, fluid like water, right? Bruce Lee once said, you want to have your mind be like water. It's fluid. It can go into any vessel. What it takes the shape of the vessel it goes into. It takes the shape of whatever it is in. You can use water to explain the soul and God so easily. And I found out there was somebody actually who did a beautiful job of this. My wife sent it to me, I think on Instagram or TikTok. No, she's on a TikTok, so Instagram. And I was like, oh my God, I said portions of that stuff, but this guy takes it to a whole nother level. That is the essence of what we are and who we are. So why is it critically important to look at your life and try to keep an open mind? Why is it critically important to do that? Because you start to not get stuck in your conditioning. You don't get stuck in a certain way. You don't stop the growth. Because when I said when you choose to keep an open mind, it's not just growth. I want to understand the power of this. It's not just growth from a mind perspective or being more aware of something, but those things lead to higher consciousness levels. The more you can understand, the more you can love. And that's just my belief. I truly believe that if we can understand others better, we can love them more, because we'll love them unconditionally. We'll appreciate who they are, right? Instead of fixing people in our world to projecting what people should be doing, this is kind of the world we live in right now. Instead, what if we just accepted who they are and the beauty of who they are and just understand their world? When I was a kid, I never understood that. Again, I don't understand how I knew these things. I don't think I understood the depth of it, though, to be honest. But I used to say each person is its own world with its own language, with its own, upbringing. And I go, you have to understand their language to understand their world. And so even though they may speak the same language, their language is different. I was like maybe 12, 13, 14 years old. And I didn't understand that till later on in life or how true that is, right? Because even words that I may choose may mean different to you. That doesn't mean that I need to now change my words to satisfy where your world is. That's not how that works. Instead, we learn to communicate with one another what this means. Because sometimes there may be a word I use that you may not like or you may have a negative connotation to. But if you ask me what's the definition of that word to me and I explain it, and you're like, never thought of it in that way. Never saw it that way. Just like the word busy. When I had my chiropractic office, my team can never use that word busy. It wasn't allowed in the office. And some people say, well, why wouldn't you let them use a word? That's kind of controlling. It's like we have to understand the principles of why I do that. If you just heard me say that, you think I'm a controlling owner and so forth. But when you listen to the explanation, then you start to understand. And the reason why when you use the term busy is because when you say that word, hey, I'm busy, I've been busy, everything's great, I'm doing busy, you're telling the universe you have a full plate and you're not able to take on anything else. And so now you just created a bottleneck effect of attracting what it is you want or slowing down that process because you say you're busy. It's just simple principles. So somebody said, what are you going to say? I had a coach who used to say, I'm in high demand and loving life. I'm in high demand and I'm loving life. And I love it. There's freedom there. Yeah, I'm in high demand. That's all it really is. I'm just in high demand. I'm not busy. I'm just in high demand. And I'm loving it. I love every aspect of it. Bring more. I'm grateful for this. Keep it coming. Right. And so that's a different concept when you look at these aspects to your life. Again, just using different verbiages to do that. But the key is going to come back to open mind. And again, I want you to really grasp this. It's not about opening mind and accepting things. It's just having an open mind and listening. And then after that, you make the choice if that's something you agree with or don't agree with. And I think the more we do that, the more we can learn about ourselves, the more we can learn about we grow as a human being and we raise our consciousness levels. And the more we can raise consciousness levels, the more we can see a huge shift in our own life and in our own process as it comes to all this. That's the power of just staying open-minded. And I learned this. Here's some science behind this. I learned this years ago. I always thought I knew a lot. I studied a lot. I read a lot of books. I just love studying, love learning, read 2 to 4 hours a week of research on health and any topic that was coming up. I had like 15 different areas I was looking at. Research would just pile up in my email once a month. And I go through it all throughout the week or throughout the whole entire month. And it was about 2 to 4 hours on average is what I was researching. And then I remember coming through some studies and talking about how much we really know, how much our mind can pretty much, what's the max our mind can know. And I was like, man, I'd love to know. What is that? I know there's more than what I can know and the levels I can take. And then I found out that it was like 0.0001% in some odd numbers of all the information that exists. That's the max what your mind can take. And I stood there for a second and I'm going, so basically I don't know nothing. I mean, basically that's what we're getting to. And that's the max of what I can do. Because the universe, God, Allah, whatever you want to call it, it knows 99.9999% of all the information that's there. And so I was like, all right, 1, I don't know nothing. Number 2, I need to keep an open mind to learn as much as I possibly can. And I'll just be at that place. Because what I've learned in my life, and this was a survival mechanism for me, so I'll share this with you guys. I created a strong mind to protect myself. It was a survival mechanism. I had a low self-worth. I had a low self-esteem, right? And so if I felt like I was wrong or I said something that was wrong, then I would get embarrassed. And this is why I was in the beginning of learning how to do public speaking was not a fun process. I had all these things I had to make sure was done in order to be a public speaker. And I learned over time that when I became aware of this, and I was like, I don't have to know as much anymore. What if I can just access it when I need it? What if I don't know and I just access it when I need it? So I did this actually in my practice where, I would memorize my patients' names so that I would have it memorized. And I had a sequence. I would, first visit, I'm saying at least 5 to 7 times. Then I have it pretty much ingrained in my head. But what patients were fascinated by is how I could remember even our conversations from last visit, from a month ago, and so forth. And I do this with my coaching clients. And what it is I always tell them, if you came into if I was just talking, if someone just asked me about my last conversation with you, I wouldn't remember it. I just wouldn't. But the moment they get on my table and the moment I put my hands on their feet to connect with their energy, it's there. Like it just comes. Also, I'm like, yeah, remember when you said this, about a month ago, you were saying, how is this? How's that coming along? How's things working? Wow, Doc, you remember that, huh? I'm like, yeah, how's it happen? What's up? And sometimes people think I had like all pre-planned for the day. I never did. That's just way too much work. It's just being able to open up and be open-minded to connect. And I started to go, man, I don't need that survival mechanism. I don't need to know everything. And it's okay if I don't. Have I said things I was wrong with before? Absolutely. I'm human. I'm okay with that. Right? I don't have a low self-worth as much anymore. I don't have that low self-esteem. I'm worried about being wrong. If I was wrong about something, great. Thank you for correcting me. Now I can go ahead and be better with what I'm doing. And that's the kind of mentality of how I've been living my life now with that. And the point I'm trying to make is that as we created this identity, to wrap up this podcast episode, that lower I, I said it's your conditioning, generational. It's also what you've been, your family, your upbringing, the town, all that stuff. That small little I is what you created to survive in this world. Okay. That is not your true self. That's not the freedom that you seek. That's not the true bliss, joy, and all the other stuff that exists within that realm. It's not there. And the reason why is because that small I is an identity from the ego to keep you comfortable, to keep you surviving in this life for as long as you possibly can. The bigger I is your true self, coming back to the open mind, coming back to always knowing that you can grow and expand, always knowing that there's an infinite levels to what you can go to. There's never an end to problems, and I don't even look at them as problems anymore. It's actually blessings and opportunities is what I call them. And somebody say, well, that's just mnemonics. You're just playing on or semantics. You're just playing with different words. And I'm like, no, there's actually a meaning to it, because when you understand the power of how you can reprogram things and program the charge of it, you can change your life. And so in that aspect of all that, that is the one thing that you understand, that when you step into that big I, now all of a sudden you're stepping into your true self, dictated by you, choosing by you. Who are you really? Who do you want to be? And you create that for your life. And it doesn't mean it's permanent. Nothing in life is static. Everything is in motion. Every single thing in this world, including your body, is in motion. It's in constant flux all the time. That is the one guarantee rule that is guaranteed, or it's locked in. Everything, the only thing is constant in life, in this universe, is change. That's it. Nothing else. Everything else is always, the only thing that's a constant is change or flux of energy. And so when you understand that principle, this is where it helps you to understand. So I'm trying to drop some little things here that are huge bomb. When you go into them, they're going to be big awakenings in there. It's just you really have to digest this. So listen to this a couple times to really grasp the whole identity concept and understand. Ask yourself that question and go sit in quiet peace sometime and just sit there and go, man, did I really create an identity of who I am today based on my survival? Or did I create an identity based upon who I chose to be? And if you feel like you didn't you're not choosing who you truly want to be, like what you want to become, but you're held back, that's where you need some work. That's where it's working with a coach can help with that kind of a process. This is the kind of coaching I do when I help with entrepreneurs and so forth to do that. Now, not just if you're not a business owner, doesn't mean you can't coach with me. I do the same program, just a little different. It's not on business. It's more life in a sense. But it's one of those principles that we'll utilize to help you become more aware to choose that bigger I. This is what I kind of talk. I don't mention this in my book, like identity, small and high. I do talk a little bit about self in there, but I bring up the components of choosing your life rather than being conditioned to it in a survival mechanism. So check that out. Any questions, please let me know. If this is the first time you're listening to the podcast, please take a moment, subscribe. We launch about 2 podcasts a week. We're getting back to our schedule being more in sync. It's been a little crazy. My little newborn, my new daughter, my life's been, sometimes it works beautifully in schedule and sometimes it doesn't, and that's fine. And so I'm just, juggling that, but I'm still staying committed to my twice a week podcast on top of everything else I do. And it's one of those things where, if you subscribe, you never miss an episode. If you enjoyed the episode, do two things. One, share a review. It helps get more reach to the podcast. Number two, pay it forward. If you enjoyed this, pay it forward with someone you know. Just one person. I'm not asking for many, just one person, share it with. And hopefully that can uplift them in some way, shape, or form. So check out the notes, check out the new shop we have going on, grab some gear, and then do me a favor. If you do buy some gear, please post on socials in your story or reel, whatever it may be. Just hashtag mindful experiment. Appreciate you as always. And I look forward to talking to you all next week.